The MLB Gambling Podcast and the Sports Game Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pick'em for a chance to win 100 times your money in NBA, MLB, MMA, NHL, golf, and more. Sign up today at UnderdogFantasy.com using the promo code MLBSGPN to get a 100% deposit match. And welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Game Podcast Network. It is currently Tuesday afternoon, roughly 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time on May 7th. I'm your host for this one, Scott Reichel, joined by Lonte once again. And together we're going to break down the Wednesday games on the card. Lonte, we got 16 games. So hopefully you're excited and ready to go through it. How you feeling?
Yeah, man, I'm feeling good. Ready to get down to it. Actually, all of them are on the board except for maybe two games. So
we had a doubleheader for one. So Texas is missing a line, and the Red Sox Braves game is not available. Might be a Chris Sale revenge spot, but we don't have a line.
I think so. Yeah, that's what I have to. Yeah, but looking forward to it, man.
Yep, should be fun. Anything you want to add for your overall takeaways the last couple of days, or should we just get into it?
No, we could go ahead and get into it. So we don't even want to belabor the point any longer with all these games we got to break down.
Yeah, sounds good. I feel like we should have probably had a line on both Texas games because I'm surprised Oakland hasn't waved the white flag. You know, right. Mercy rule, something
mercy
like that.
Rule.
The game was over in about 2 innings. But either way, time to start off with the actual schedule. A lot of baseball, by the way.
Yes,
so strap in. It's going to be moving day. So get excited. You have a lot of games. About half the schedule, I believe, is before 6 and change. So keep that in mind. Either way, though, starting off with the first game on the slate, you have the Angels taking on the Pirates. For this game, you have Soriano taking on Perez. The Pirates are about minus 130. The Angels are about plus 110. Over-under in this game is currently being set at around 8.5. Lonte, both these teams suck. It's well documented. My question is, do you actually want to lay 130 with Perez? Because both pitchers are kind of similar. Perez has been better this season, but they're comparable. The Pirates, though, are definitely better than the Angels, and now with Trout being out, this Angels team can't hit. So do you want to lay 130 with Pittsburgh, or would you rather just take plus money on what could be a coin flip?
Yeah, I think it's a coin flip. I would rather not stay away from either side. So I guess
but yeah.
Yeah, I know it is. So I'll go with I'll lean with the Angels just with the plus money. I mean, they're 2-8 in their last 10. They've scored one run exactly in 4 of the last 5 games. So like you mentioned, no offense at all. Pittsburgh's hitting 188 in their last 10, 2.1 runs per 9. The difference is that the Angels, they hit lefties pretty well. They're hitting 251 versus lefties. And I mean, Perez, he's been okay, despite being 1-4. He's got an ERA of 2.2. So there's nothing to pretty much write home about. But I love the under, man. In Perez's starts, 4 or 5, it went under. Soriano's allowed 1 earned run or less in 3 of his 5 starts. He doesn't allow a lot of contact, only 1 home run. He just gets no run support. No run support at all.
Both of them
obvious, don't. For obvious reasons that I just that I was just going over. But Pittsburgh bullpen has been solid over the last 10. I mean, a batting average allowed of 220. So they're going well. I think the Angels at the top of the lineup can maybe get to Perez. But ultimately, I'll just stay with the under, thinking we see a low-scoring game here, Scott.
Yeah, I agree. The under is my favorite play here at about 8.5. I don't trust either team to do anything offensively, so why would I assume that both of them are going to do enough to score 4 runs apiece? Usually, if you end up with an even number for a total, you're hoping for potentially extras or maybe a script in there as each team to reach 4. I'm not sure either team reaches 4. That's where we're at with these offenses. So I'm with you on the under. I think 8.5 is too high. I do see an 8 available, so make sure you jump on the 8.5 now before the line moves. Moving on to the next game on the slate, you have the Blue Jays taking on the red-hot Phillies. You're looking at the Phillies around minus 150, Toronto around plus 130. You have Nola taking on Bassett. Nola this season has been solid, 4-1 record, 3.32 ERA. No Zach Wheeler, but still pretty good. You're looking at Bassett, who's been terrible, 2-5, 5.45 ERA. My question for you is pretty simple. Is there any reason not to just back the Phillies, particularly in the first 5 innings?
Yep.
I believe the Phillies are 19-1-1 in the first 5 innings of their last 21 games. That's think it might be 18-1-1 or 19-1-1, but it's something crazy.
It's 19. Yeah, no, it's 19.
Rinse and repeat on this one?
Yeah, pretty much, man. I mean, I don't see why you want to get away from it. So if you want to go first 5 full game, Toronto's not to be trusted, 3-7 in their last 10. But Philly, man, like they've been on fire. I put in a few futures on them for division and just World Series, just by how good they're playing. We're averaging 6 runs during their winning streak, 6 runs per game during the winning streak. Nola's been awesome. You went over that earlier. He only pitched 4 innings though in his last start. Was there a reason why? Did I miss something?
Was there a potential rain stoppage? I'm trying to remember.
I'm not sure, but I saw when I was looking through his game log, I saw he was 6 innings here, 7 innings there, 6 innings here, and then I see a 4 innings. So I don't know if he got like pulled because he was having some discomfort.
He walked 4 guys. He only gave up 2 runs though.
Yeah,
it might have been rain. I don't remember, but
okay, cool. Yeah, I don't either.
He pitched horribly. He wasn't good, but he wasn't terrible.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely not to pull him after. I mean, he only allowed 2 runs, but yeah. So I didn't know if it was like injury sustained or whatever the case may be.
I don't believe so. I think I would have heard about it if it did. Right. It might have just been a weather thing.
Right. I mean, he hasn't even allowed a lot of contact. I mean, 4 hits or less in 4 of his 5 starts. So it's not like he's given up a ton. Philly's hitting the cover off the ball 270 in their last 10. Toronto's barely hitting 210. So, man, I like Philly. I'm gonna keep it simple here. I like Philly to win the game. You'll go first 5 and full game.
Yeah, once again, to read off that stat, the first 5 inning money line for the Phillies, 19-1-1 in the last 21 games. 19-1-1. Yeah, give me the first 5. I mean, I can't go against that. That's insane. Bassett's been terrible. I know last year, I don't believe he was good on the road, and he has not been good in general this year. Toronto's just not very good. I covered the AL East with Munaf, and I basically ended up saying Toronto's this team that everybody tries to buy into every year, and they underachieve every damn year. And they made the playoffs last year, and then they ended up losing to Minnesota. Minnesota hadn't won a playoff game in about 10, 15 years, and he ended up losing 2 out of 3 to them. They got swept in that series. But the point is, I do think at the end of the day, you're looking at Toronto just not being very good, and I'm not saying that you should look immediately into first manager fired, but Toronto's manager is definitely on the hot seat because I don't think many fans actually think he's any good. And this team had expectations for some reason, and they're underachieving. Doesn't help when the rest of the division's over 500. Boston's better than them. Tampa's been playing better lately. The Yankees are good, and Baltimore is a freight train. So Toronto's going to be in last place unless they turn it around for a while. First manager fired, you might want to consider looking at Toronto's manager. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why they always do this. Like they're like the Clippers.
It's the same thing every year.
MLB. Yeah, it's every year, and they get me almost every year. They didn't get me this year though. They did not get me this year.
I stopped betting on them last year. Last year, Mal and I had a heart-to-heart during one of the episodes, and we just realized I never get this team right. And then Mal looked at me and said, I never get this team right either. So I just stopped betting them. That's kind of just how I moved on.
Yeah, they didn't get me this year. So, I don't know what they need to do. Maybe they need to just like not rebuild, but kind of like restructure.
It's a culture thing for me.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
I can't explain if it's immaturity or what the story is, and now Manoah's on the team, so have fun with that. But you're looking at Vlad, who's the leader of the team. Sure, I think he's been overrated for years, to be honest. He had a monster season a couple of years ago, and his numbers have gone worse every year after that. So I think Vlad's a solid option. Do I think he's a number 1 option? No. I don't know if he's a good fielder either. But you're looking at Springer, who's hurt all the time. And it just feels like they invested a lot of capital and a lot of hope into, I don't want to say untrustworthy guys, but there's something with the culture of this team. And maybe it was the Vlad quote from a couple years ago. Once again, I quote this every time, which is, last year's the premiere, this is the movie. It just feels like they think they're better than they are. And there's a sense of entitlement with that team where they feel like everything is going to, cater to them. And like the Yankees have some beef with them and how they think they own the Yankees, but they never make any playoff runs ever. It's weird. It's like they have a sense of entitlement. They don't win anything. I don't know if you notice the same thing, but that's kind of the vibe I get with this team.
Yeah, trust me. I hear it and see it. And that's why I will not be betting any more money on them. I've lost enough. But yeah, I'll definitely be fading them in this spot against the Phillies,
which I just don't think has been earned at all with this team.
Yeah, but I agree. Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, I'm going with Philly. No reason to go against them. They're phenomenal. I can't really go against them at this point. Moving on to the next game on the slate, you have the Tigers taking on the Guardians. Blind bet the under. No, but actually, looking at the actual lines here, you have Guardians -135. You have Tigers at +115. You have Olsen taking on Bibee. Bibee's been kind of underwhelming this season, but I still like him as a pitcher. 2-1, 4.46 ERA. Olsen 0-4 with a 2.7 ERA. So I guess he's this year's DeGrom because they just don't score any runs for him, and his records are going to be terrible. We'll look at the actual over-under for this game. Forgot to mention, by the way, the over-under for the Phillies game is 8.5. If you want to take the over or the under on that one. Before the Tigers and Guardians game, we have 8. A flat 8. I alluded to it before. I'm not taking an over with these teams. The Tigers can't hit. Cleveland has been better hitting recently, but then Naylor got injured, and I don't really trust their offense either. Give me the under in this one. I don't trust either team to reach 4 once again, and you need both to reach 4, basically. Give me the under. Standard 3-2 Cleveland-Detroit game where Clase gets a save in the 9th inning.
Yeah, we could pretty much just clip whatever. Every time we cover this game, we're pretty much going to say the same thing. Just under, and probably want to take the home team. 8 of their last 10 meetings, they went under. Detroit is under in 9 of their last 10. Cleveland under in 7 of their last 10. Olsen has pitched 4 straight unders. Bibee is looking to bounce back. He got shelled by the Angels, but before that, he had won like 4 straight and allowed 2 or less in 3 of those. He's weird because, man, he shut down the Braves, and then he comes back and gets shelled by the Angels. I don't know what that.
It might have just been a fluky start, but just watching.
I think he pitched well against the Dodgers as well, though. I think he pitched well against the Dodgers.
Yeah,
also.
Last year watching him pitch for Cleveland, I just think he's pretty good. He's still young, so perhaps he just had a bad outing, didn't have the stuff that day. Yeah. I think Bibee's fine though.
I think he's fine. Yeah, and both of the bullpens are actually solid. So, I mean, I think that's just all recipe for an under, man. I don't even think we need to belabor it. But to your Olsen point, as far as run support, in his starts, 1, 0, 3, what is this? 9 and 4 in his starts. That's
and the 9 didn't even get the win in.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't. They didn't. That's what I'm saying. That's even worse.
But yeah, I think for the sake of the side, though, based on the prices, I'll lean Cleveland. 135 is pretty bettable. They're better than Detroit, and once again, Olsen gets a no run support at all. So I'm not going to back a guy that gets a no run support. 0-4 with a 2.7 ERA is honestly impressive. So I'll go with Cleveland in this one. 3-2. Clase gets a save in the 9th inning. Moving on to the next game on the slate, you have the Mets taking on the Cardinals. Looking at the actual pitching matchup, you have Quintana taking on Sonny Gray. Damn, Sonny Gray's numbers are good. The Cardinals are -170. The Mets are +145. Quintana has been a mess this year. 1-3 with a 5.2 ERA. Sonny Gray, though, 4-1 with a .89 ERA. I get so frustrated when I see his numbers because he was so bad with the Yankees. Do you want to go against Gray on this one? Because the Mets have kind of sputtered after going back to 500. The Cardinals are really bad. They lost a series to the White Sox. Congratulations. That's very hard to do. But Sonny Gray is the one pitcher I'll be willing to back with this team. So I'll go with Sonny Gray first 5 -0.5 a run.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. I mean, he's been unreal. 3 scoreless starts, averaging 6 innings pitched in those starts. In his starts, both teams struggling with the bat, so I like the under as well. They're hitting like under 215 in their last 10. If the April series that they played with each other, 3 out of 4 went under. I mean, Quintana, like he got shelled in his last start, but before that, he had been fine. He went 8. He went 8, only allowing one earned in one of those starts in April.
That's crazy too, because Quintana usually goes 5 tops. Like 8 innings for Quintana is a wild start.
Right, and that was my next point as well. And also you couple that in with St. Louis not being able to hit lefties. I think they're under 200 hitting lefties. So I think we see a low scoring game here, Scott. I'm thinking maybe like 2-1, 3-1 type of game with St. Louis. Better pitcher on the mound. I don't trust their offense at all, but I just think Gray is just better than Quintana, and sometimes that's what it takes. So I like St. Louis and under here.
Yeah,
I also like that first 5 that you said as well.
I was going to say the first 5 under might be worth a look then if you think that the Cardinals will once again struggle against a lefty. I forgot to mention, by the way, there is a split total in this game. You have one book with 8, one at 7.5. So if you want the 8, you could probably take it now before the line moves. Anyway, got a couple more games to get into, but before we get into any of that, I want to remind you once again that this is the MLB Gambling Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, no matter how you end up listening to the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I believe we're over 1,000 now. So definitely a nice milestone. We're going to aim for 2,000 hopefully by the end of the year. Wishful thinking. But either way, don't forget to like and subscribe either on YouTube or Spotify or on Apple. And don't forget to leave a review. We actually have not gotten many reviews recently, and we're trying to get more. So don't forget to leave us a review on Spotify or Apple. Also, a reminder that we're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, and the NBA playoffs are here, and our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, wants to make it a lot more interesting. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on a player stat like points, rebounds, assists, and so much more. Make entries of all basketball or mix and match across their favorite sports. You can win 100 times your money, and it is a ton of fun. Underdog's also available in 30-plus states, including California, Texas, and even Canada. They have a lot of great options for baseball. They have props. They have first-inning runs. They have really anything you could think of, Underdog has. So don't forget to check out that platform for baseball. And a reminder that Underdog's also running a ton of different promotions. They have bonus cash airdrops. They have specials. They have giveaways and more throughout the NBA playoffs. So make sure to follow @UnderdogPicks on Twitter. It's @UnderdogPicks to keep an eye out. Underdog's available in 30-plus states, including California, Texas, and Canada. And they also just launched Champions, their player versus player format in Florida. So make sure to sign up with the code MLB SGPN, and Underdog will double your first deposit $100. So on Fantasy, promo code MLB SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast. Just finished going through the first couple games on the Wednesday slate. Moving on to the next game, you have the Brewers taking on the Royals, and this game will be taking place at around 2 p.m. Eastern Time. For this one, you have the Royals at -125. You have the Brewers at around +105. Over-under set at 9 in this game. You have Singer taking on Ross. Singer has a 2.45 ERA and a 2-1 record, while Ross was decent, I believe, his first outing, and has not been good since, as he's 1-3 with a 4.65 ERA after kind of going off the grid for a year or two. But the point is, you're looking at the Royals being -125. First glance, Lonte, this line feels cheap to me because Singer's the better pitcher. Why would I not take Royals first 5 here?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to defer to you because I have no idea what to do. I've had this series wrong. I've had Milwaukee wrong for the past week or so.
You've been selling, and they've been how?
Yeah, I mean, I got them right early on, but I mean, they came, kind of regressed back during the past few weeks. So I've been getting smashed over the head, and I was on Kansas City a lot, and then they went into a lull, and now I'm kind of in no man's land with both of these teams. But I do think Kansas City is the best option here with Singer on the mound, like you mentioned, just a better start. I am worried about he has thrown a lot of pitches though, 100 plus in 2 of his last 3 starts. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, both of these teams, they're 500 in their last 10 meetings. So, I mean, that just goes to show you it's just right there. But I do like Singer over Ross. Ross is inconsistent. He went in his 4 starts. He went 6 earned, 1 earned, 6 earned, 1 earned. So, I mean, I don't really know what to expect from him. He does allow a lot of contact, has a lot of home run in 3 straight. So, yeah, I think Kansas City is kind of cheap here. But again, I haven't got this series right all along. So take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I think I just like Singer based on the consistency. He had 1 bad start against Toronto, 6 innings, 5 runs. He's allowed less than 3 runs in every other start. So he's been really good with the exception of 1 semi-blow-up. So I do think he's reliable. I just don't think Ross is that good. I didn't think he was that good on the Nationals back in the day. But I was kind of interested in following him because he had been away for so long. I was not sure what type of version we would get from him. And he's basically the same pitcher that he was before the layoff. I just don't think he's that good. So I think Kansas City's a cheap number. I'll go with Singer on that one. Total of 9. I'll lean to the under in that one. Maybe Brewers under, because I do think Singer might pitch a gem here. So I don't mind maybe a Brewers team total under for this one. But I'm on Kansas City first 5, and I think we'll move on from there. Anything else you want to add, or should we move on?
No, that's it. That's it.
Cool. Moving on to the next game, you have the Cubs taking on the Padres. For this one, Padres are a slight road favorite, as the Padres are around -125. The Cubs are +105. You have Cease against Wisniewski. Solid pitching matchup based on the stats. Cease is 4-2 with a 2.55 ERA. Wisniewski's randomly 2-0 with a 0.54 ERA. And the over-under in this game is set at 8.5. Lonte Cease has been one of the only pitchers you can actually trust in this Padres rotation. Wisniewski's been decent, though. He's actually been better than decent. He's been really good. And the Cubs are a pretty solid team. So I guess the question is, do you want to lay 125?
Yeah, I'll take it with I'll lay it with Cease on the mound. I mean, he is he's been really good. I mean, 1 earned or less in 4 of his 5 starts, not even allowed a ton of contact, 3 hits or less in those as well. Chicago, while they've been good, I mean, at home, they're hitting just 213. San Diego's hitting 290 on the road. So you got some splits there. And I think the most inconsistent thing about San Diego is their offense. I mean, to kind of hit or miss, you never know what you're going to get. And if you're going to just drill those down to, the past few weeks, Chicago's hitting 194 in their last 10, while San Diego's hitting 263. And another thing to take into account, which they blew the game, I think, was it last night they blew the game? The Cubs, man, their bullpen has been atrocious in the last 10. 10.53 runs allowed per 9, an ERA of 8.64. I think the Padres come out and have a good outing, especially behind Cease on the mound. So Padres actually been better on the road than they have at home. So I trust them more on the road than at home. I'm going to go with the Padres and Cease to get it done here.
Yeah, I just had to check the weather. Wind's blowing in at about 8 miles per hour. So give me the first 5 under in this game. We don't trust either offense. You mentioned the Cubs being bad offensively at home. The bullpen's not good, so I'll ignore the bullpen. Give me the first 5 under in this game. Probably 4.5, if I had to guess, since the full game total's at 8.5.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I'm looking for that one. Moving on to the next game on the slate, you have the Marlins against the Dodgers. So the question is, do you want to lay 2.5 runs or do you want to take the Marlins? But the point is, you have Stone taking on Weathers. The Dodgers are minus 270. The Marlins are plus 220. Stone 2-1 record, 4.06 ERA. Weathers 2-3 with a 4.54 ERA. Both pitchers kind of the same. You don't really like either of them, but they're not totally awful. Dodgers have been very good recently. Ohtani's just been unstoppable, and the Marlins suck. So, do you want to make a case for the Marlins? Or are you just taking Dodgers run line again?
Yeah, I'll just take the team total over. I mean, it's no need to even dive deep. It's nothing to dive deep on in this game. They crushed lefties, 272 versus them this year, 5 runs per 9. Weathers actually he hasn't been bad, but I don't really trust him against the Dodgers. I don't really trust a lot of pitchers against the Dodgers lineup that are more capable of what he is. The Dodgers hitting almost 280 in their last 10 on 10 hits. 6 runs per 9. Yeah, so give me that team total over, man. I would probably ladder it up to see if they can get, 7-8 runs here. But other than that, Scott, I mean, it's the same thing with any Dodgers game. If they're not playing a respectable opponent, it's either the team total or the reverse run line where you're laying 2.5. It's really
Tony can't even pitch.
It's no handicap.
Still might win MVP.
Yeah, you feel me? They got like 3 guys that can win MVP.
I know.
And they all just have batting 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. Betts is up there, and then Ohtani decided, you know what? I'm just going to hit a home run every time I'm up at the plate this week, and no one can pitch to him. So, yeah, it's pretty tough to beat them. It's why they've been winning so many games recently. Swept the Braves. They've been rolling. I got no reason to go against them. Give me the Dodgers here at minus 1.5. Not a creative lean, but at the same point, have to at least bring it up. For this one, we're going to go back-to-back games in the same set because it's the only doubleheader on the card. You have the Rangers taking on the Athletics, I mean. For this matchup, do I have a line on any of them?
No,
I do. I have a line on the late game. I don't have a line on the early game. So we're not going to spend much time on this. What?
Isn't that backwards?
I see a line for the 6:30 game, not the 3:30 game.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, no, I get it, but like, I don't understand why they don't have one for the first game.
I don't know either. Unless maybe they just assume that the pitchers, that 6:30 was the regular time for the game, maybe. And this is the made-up game, so they might.
Yeah. Okay, got you.
If I had to guess. So I'm going to go with whatever listed pitchers are here. They might flip, so keep that in mind. But you have Lorenzen against Sears in Game 1, allegedly. Keyword allegedly. Lorenzen 2-1 with a 3.52 ERA. Some command issues, but his overall ERA is fine. Sears has been okay. 2-2 with a 3.89 ERA. The Rangers are in the middle of scoring about 9,000 runs today. Do they have any offense left for Game 1 tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Oakland here, man. I like Sears. Sears, he's through 3 scoreless. He had 3 scoreless starts in 5. 1 bad start versus Baltimore, which is, I mean, Baltimore's offense is pretty good, so I don't fault him for that. Texas is hitting around 220 versus lefties. Oakland's been feisty, man. I mean, their competition hasn't been great in the past few. I think they played the White Sox and Pittsburgh, but I mean, listen, you got to. Yeah, it still counts. So
Twins won 12 games, and they faced off against the Angels and the White Sox for a week and a half. That still counts.
Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, man, I like Oakland. They're feisty. I'd rather have them. I'll split a unit and go first 5 with Sears and then full game. But I think Oakland can get this. I think they can get this one.
So we're going to disagree here. I just think Oakland is on the verge of a massive, massive downswing, and it seems like it's starting. Faced off against the Marlins, scored 20 runs on the 4th. Game after, lost 12-3. Then lost against the Rangers 4-2 in the opener. Then ended up losing, or at least they're down 15-5 now in the 8th inning. I think Oakland might be overvalued at this point. I think this team was overachieving for the entire way. We know this, and I think they're about to hit a serious wall. So props to Oakland for being around 500 this far into the season. I can really see them losing 7 or 8 in a row. I think it's going to be a spot where this team might just fully implode at this point. I'm going to go with Texas. We know the talent is there. They're fighting for first place with the Mariners right now in the division. Pretty weak AL West, all things being considered, but still counts. I'm going to go with Texas here. I just think getting 9 at-bats on the road and based on the current form offensively, and Oakland about to lose their 3rd straight game by multiple runs, I think Texas takes it behind the woodshed in this game. So I'll go with Texas -1.5. Maybe you're right. Maybe Sears pitches well, and maybe the Rangers kill them in game 2. But I really think Oakland's on the verge of losing a bunch of games in a row. So I'm going to try to get in early based on what I've seen for the last couple days. Give me the Rangers -1.5 there for the first game. Moving on to the next game, you have Jack Leiter with his 17.18 ERA taking on, I believe, Bido maybe. So that's the potential listed pitcher. I don't have anything though. Technically unlisted. One database I see says Bido. So maybe it's him, maybe it's not. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, this is the spot I might consider Oakland. But once again, I just said I think that the A's might lose 8 in a row. So give me A's team total over. I'll fade Leiter. He's made what? 1 start? 2 starts?
Yeah, I think
it's not been good. He's made 2. It has not been good. So maybe he's the pitching. Are you sure it's 2? I think it's 1.
Oh, maybe it is 1. Maybe it is 1.
I think it was 1. He got killed by Detroit. But that was about a month ago. That was on the 18th. So that was like 3-4 weeks ago. So we'll see if he can get back on track. Maybe he's the pitching version of Jackson Holiday. You just throw him up there, he gets his ass kicked, you send him back to AAA, and you hope for the best. Maybe. So we'll see what happens, but give me Oakland team total over. I do think Oakland's on the verge of a massive losing streak, so I might have to eat that if I'm wrong, but I'm going to go with Oakland team total over. I don't know who's pitching for Oakland. It might be Bido. It might not be Bido. He's not even that good to begin with. So I like the over in this game. Oakland team total might be worth a look if the Rangers especially beat them in game 1, because I do think the markets will start to adjust accordingly. And maybe if Oakland is getting like 180 at home, maybe you get a 2.5 or a 3.5. You can pray for a juice 2.5. I don't mind that. I'll fade Leiter, though. I think you might be able to get a decent team total.
Yeah, tough for me to handicap it without, but I agree with you. I think we see some runs in this game. But what I'm probably going to do is end up betting Oakland both games, and hopefully they split, and I'll profit because there'll be dogs in both. So, and I do like that team total over. I'll probably just bet the full game over, depending on who pitches. But yeah, that's how I'm approaching a doubleheader. I'm going to bet Oakland both times and probably bet the over in this specific game.
We'll keep an eye on it, but once again, I think Oakland might be on the verge of a serious collapse, which is, expected. The fact that they're 17-19 is honestly impressive. But from what I've seen in the last week or two, it does seem like some of the luster is kind of wearing off, and they're starting to regress to the team that we thought they were going to be. That's kind of my point. So I'll fade Oakland in the beginning of the downswing, and hopefully they end up losing 8 or 9 in a row, and we might make a lot of money. Moving on to the next game on the slate, you have the Diamondbacks taking on the Reds. A shout out to the A's, though. They have a better record than the defending runner-ups for the World Series. But you have Montgomery pitching for the Diamondbacks. You have Ashcraft pitching for the Reds. Reds are dogs, though. The Arizona, is -120. You're looking at Cincinnati being even money. Montgomery 1-2, 5.63 ERA. Ashcraft 3-1 with a 3.63 ERA. Maybe you can help me here. Besides reputation with Monty winning a ring last year, why are the Diamondbacks favored in this game?
Yeah, I'm not sure either. And Arizona's coming off a tough 3-series stretch at Seattle.
They're also not very good.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're not. But they playing at Seattle, the Dodgers, and then San Diego, which explains why they're 4-6 in the last 10. I think Cincinnati, they played a rough stretch as well. Baltimore at San Diego, at Texas, then they played Philly. They've lost 8 of 10. So I think that might be why. And then Montgomery, I guess you could say, he's probably been better than Ashcraft or whatever. I don't know. It's kind of coin flippy
Ashcraft's
to
numbers
me.
are better though. I mean, Monty
Yeah,
was decent to start, and then he got killed by the Dodgers last time
yeah,
out.
yeah.
He
And
was
he's
good in
allowing a
2 of
lot.
the 3 starts though, to be fair.
Yeah, yeah, but he's
But
allowing a lot of contact too, and I think Cincinnati could be in a get right spot. And Ashcraft has been a bit inconsistent. He's been better in his last two though, only allowing one combined. So if he can bring that and not what he's been doing prior to that, I think he'll be fine. Cincinnati does struggle against lefties though, 205 against lefties. Both teams actually are struggling to hit in their last 10. Cincinnati's hitting 167, Arizona's hitting 209. So I think the under is in play as well. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the home dogs, guy. I like Cincinnati a lot here, despite their deficiencies against left-hand batters.
yeah, only to the under as well. Total's at 9 in that one. Forgot to mention, by the way, the total in the Oakland game with the lighter is 8. So if you want the over in that one, you can get that. Which means you might get Oakland team total like 2.5 if the line is insanely juiced for Texas. Probably a very juiced 2.5 or maybe even a plus money 3.5. So keep that in mind. For this one, though, I agree with you on the under. I'll lean that way. Arizona offensively just has not been very good. Corbin Carroll has to be injured or something. The guy can't hit. I don't know what happened to the guy.
None of them can hit.
They can't hit, but the point is, though, Carroll was viewed as being this up-and-coming multi-time all-star, and he was very good in the beginning half of last year, and he got injured, and he's kind of fallen off a cliff. Just looking at his numbers, I just got to bring it up. So I agree with you on the under. We talk about, though, Toronto being a team that's the same every year. Cincinnati's the same team every year.
Yeah.
And this time they have expectations. The offense is supposed to be good. Ellie's been a lunatic this season, and they're still 2 games under. Like, I don't know what more you could want from Ellie and company, and yet you still can't be over 500. And last year, you tried to have a shot at it for the wild card. Then you didn't do anything to address the rotation. You got killed. So, yeah, Cincinnati's the same story every year, too. But I'll take him at even money. This game, I think, worst case scenario is a coin flip, and you're giving me plus money on a coin flip.
Yeah,
so I'll lean Cincinnati that way. Do agree with you, though, on the under. Moving on to the next game, you have the Orioles taking on the Nationals. The Orioles are about minus 170, and you have the Nationals at around plus 145. Bradish is pitching, 0-0 record with a 1.93 ERA. Parker pitching for the Nationals, 2-1 with a 2.53 ERA. Over-under for this game is currently set at around 9. First glance, under. I think 9's too high. I actually like both pitchers. Parker's been good. Relative unknown. Sounds like a pitcher from the movie Major League. Just 2 first names, random guy, auto-generated. But he's been good. And you're looking at Bradish, who I know missed part of the season. He's been solid too. Why would I not like the under in this game?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, Scott. I kind of like the over.
Okay, let me hear the case.
Yeah, so I just think that their offense, Washington's offense, has been really good. They're over in 7 of 10. They've scored 7+ in half of those. They're averaging 8.1 hits, so they're putting bat on the ball in their last 10. And I think even though Parker's been good, I mean, Baltimore kills lefties. They're 274 on the year against lefties. And Parker's been really good against really good offenses. I mean, he faced the Dodgers, Houston, and Texas and did pretty well. And I know Baltimore's been under in 7 of the last 9, but their offense is, they can get going at any given time. And all the trends point to them going under. All 10 of the games have went under in the last 10 meetings, and Baltimore's 9-1, so they pretty much own the series. I just think that Baltimore can put enough offense up, and then once it gets rolling, I think Washington can get some runs on the back end as well. I don't feel too strongly about it because I think both pitchers could, have decent days, especially if Mitchell Parker's in the groove. But again, I mean, not obviously 0 travel, so you don't have to worry about that. But I think the way that Washington offense is going, I'm not worried about Baltimore. I think Baltimore will be able to get their runs. And I think Washington will be able to get some, whether that's in garbage time or not. So I like the over, and I'm going to go with Baltimore on the run line as well.
I don't mind Baltimore, but I do think Bradish is a very solid pitcher, and I'm kind of going to back him because of it. So we're going to disagree on the total, but I think we are going to agree on Baltimore. They're on the road, so they're guaranteed 9 at-bats, and You mentioned how good they are against lefties. So I agree with you there. I'll back Bradish on the run line, but I do like the under personally, a 9 in that game. Moving on to the next game, you have the White Sox taking on the Rays, and for this one, you have an interesting pitching matchup because the White Sox throw out random pitchers that are terrible pretty much every day. This time you have Flexen on the mound, who, guess what? Not very good. 1-3, 8.5 ERA, which is not bad compared to the rest of the rotation. As for the Rays, you have Savali on the mound, who has been a mess. 2-2, 6.14 ERA. Tampa, though, is minus 225. The White Sox are plus 190. Over-under in this game is set at 8.5. Tampa's been better recently, though. They've scored 7+ runs in 3 of the last 4. Won the series opener. I believe it was 8-2 yesterday. Yep. We know the White Sox are terrible. They're 3-15 on the road. What do you want to do for this one? Because I'm not sure if I trust either pitcher in this game.
Yeah, and that's a perfect segue because I like the over. Both teams hitting the ball pretty well over the last 10. They're averaging actually the same amount of hits and runs per 9 in their last 10, which is I found that kind of odd. Savali, you mentioned he hasn't been good. 5+ runs allowed in his last 3 starts. Combined runs in his last 3 starts, 19. He did give up 6 to the White Sox in Chicago. Flexen shut down the Tampa offense. Actually, he didn't allow a run in 5 innings pitched on 2 hits, so he was pretty good. That's going to regress back to the mean here with Tampa. I've said it, I think when me and Mal were previewing on Sunday the series, I think this is a get-back spot for Tampa. I'll be on the run line for them in their team total every game. 4 to 5 meetings have went over this year, so I think we see offense here, Scott, and I do like Tampa on that run line.
Yeah, so I'm going to agree. Tampa actually gave out on YouTube for the Tuesday slate for the same reasons you just gave out. They got swept by this team about a week or 2 ago. It's embarrassing, and they're playing better. And we know Tampa every year is good in the Trop. Nobody's at the games, but they play very well at home. Right. But I don't trust either pitcher. The point is, though, the White Sox are dead last in runs per game. They're dead last in road runs per game. Tampa scored 7+ in 3 of the last 4. They're 12th in home runs per game. I mean, like, runs per home game. I don't mean actual home runs. But you have my point. I'll lean Tampa. This team, we know, every year finds a way to BS their way to 90 wins or to, 88 wins. I think they'll be ready to roll on this one. The White Sox are a lost cause, so give me the Rays as well. -1.5. I do think they end up sweeping the series, personally. So I'll back that. Give me Tampa to win on the run line once again. Moving on to the next game on the slate, you have the Astros taking on the Yankees, which sounds a lot better on paper than by actual record, because Houston's not very good. Palms are sweaty. Arrigetti's pitching for the Astros. He's 0-3 with an 8.27 ERA. As for the Yankees, you have Rodon pitching 2-2 with a 3.68 ERA. Yankees are -140. Houston is +120. Rodon did pitch against the Astros earlier this season. First game of the season, actually, or maybe it was the second game. He was not very good, but he managed to get out of trouble. He got himself into trouble every inning. But Houston just could not get hits with guys on base. Arrighetti, though, has been a mess. The over-under in this game is currently set at around 9. I see an 8.5, though. Give me the over 8.5. Rodon was decent for a couple starts, but then Toronto kind of got to him. And the issue is Rodon kind of nibbles a lot around the plate, and his command can be a little bit inconsistent. And Houston, I think, can be patient and force some walks. Give me the over. I can't trust the Yankees offense. I'm aware of the issues, but at the same point, I don't think Arrighetti's any good. I think he's a AAA pitcher that's being forced to be in the rotation right now. So give me the over in this game. I don't trust Rodon. I definitely don't trust Arrighetti. So give me the over in this one.
Yeah, I was gonna go with the over as well. I much rather the Yankees team total over. I don't know how Houston. I think Rodon's going to bounce back this game actually.
I hope he
but
does.
I don't trust. Yeah, but I don't trust Arrighetti at all, especially on the road. But Houston does hit lefties pretty well. 270 versus lefties. But Yankees offense, I mean, we both have been critical of them, and we probably are going to continue to, no matter how good they're playing. But they've owned this team 7 straight versus Houston, and Houston has owned us for quite some time. I mean, we probably would have been in a couple of World Series if it wasn't for Houston.
I think the story is pretty simple. The Yankees win the regular season games, but Houston wins the important games in October. It's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. But Yankees been hitting the ball really well. 259 in the last 10, 5.5 runs per 9, almost 9 hits. So that's a bright spot for them. Can they be consistent with it? We'll see. But I do think Rodon bounces back. Obviously, the better pitcher here. So I'm going to go with the Yankees at home. I think the number should be a little bit higher, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I don't mind the over, though. I could just see a bunch of runs in this game. Moving on to the next game, you have the Red Sox taking on the Braves. I see listed pitchers, so I don't know why we don't have a line here, but we don't. Sale seems to be confirmed for Atlanta, though. He's 4-1 with a 3.44 ERA. I'm seeing Pivetta on the mound for Boston, so I think the point is he's coming off the IL, which is why we don't have lines available, but he should be back in the rotation for this start. He's been very good. He's pitched 11 innings, given up 1 run, but the issue is he's not pitched in over a month. Last start was against Oakland on the 3rd. Fun fact, by the way, Pavetta's made 2 starts. They lost 1-0 and they won 1-0. So that kind of balances out. But yeah, I think I got to go with Atlanta here. I don't know what the price is going to be. Boston did get healthier, though. O'Neill came back. Devers hit a home run the other night, so they are getting a bit healthier. Casas, though, is still out. Pivetta off the IL, I tend to fade pitchers who have not pitched for about a month, because even if they pitch well, what's the pitch count at? You're going to go for 80? You're going to go 5 innings? Like, I don't really know if I trust his length or his sharpness. Sale's been pretty good, and it's an interesting revenge spot there at home. I know Atlanta's offense has not been amazing recently, so maybe if you want to go for an under in this game, but I'm going to lean to Atlanta. I just don't like backing pitchers off the IL based on how much uncertainty is involved. Can you kind of toss Pavetta's numbers out since he has not pitched in a month? Kinda. You kind of can do that. So that's what I'm doing. I'll lean to Atlanta.
Just depend on what side you're on. Yeah.
So I'll lean to Atlanta at home, but I don't have a price. So give me the under in Atlanta.
Yeah, I'll love Atlanta here, man. I think they're gonna put up monster numbers this series. Obviously, everything is price dependent, but I'll be laying the run line in some capacity. I'll be on some Chris Sale props as well. 2 earned runs combined in his last 2 starts, 6+ Ks in every start as well. So if they hang like a 5.5, 6 on his K prop, I'm definitely going to be all over that. Offense has been pretty bad, like you mentioned. 3 earned runs or less in 6 of the last 10 games. They're hitting 199 in that span. So I think this is a get right spot for them, much like we're seeing from Tampa versus the White Sox, although different situation. But I think Atlanta is going to take care of business and put up monster numbers at home against Boston. And Chris Sale, they probably want to be really good for Chris Sale in this spot as well. So I do love Atlanta. Obviously, we don't have a price, but that's the way I'll be leaning in the game.
Yeah, if Sale loses this start, he might rip up his jersey again. So just keep that in mind if you're an equipment manager for Atlanta. Moving on to the next game on the slate. 2 games left. We have the Mariners taking on the Twins. For this one, you have Kirby pitching against Paddock. Seattle's around -120. You're looking at the Twins at around even money. Kirby is 3-2 with a 3.76 ERA. He had 1 really, really bad start. He's been pretty good besides that, though. Paddock, though, surprising 3-1 record with a 4.78 ERA. Minnesota 112 straight against nobody, then lost a game or 2, then ended up responding by winning in a low-scoring game against the Mariners in the series opener. Want to mention, by the way, that the total in this game is currently being set at around 7.5. Do see an 8, though, if you want to shop around. So once again, another split line. For this game, I think I'm going to go with Seattle. I just like Kirby more than Paddock. It's as simple as that. Paddock's been tolerable this year, but I've never really been a big fan, and I think that at some point he's going to run into trouble in this matchup. The problem is both teams strike out a lot. So you might end up wanting to take a Kirby strikeout prop in this game. Maybe if you want to go for a Paddock strikeout prop, I don't mind that either because these teams swing at everything. So you can just keep that in mind. But I'll lean to Seattle. I think it's a cheap price with Kirby at -120.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Do you think, just big picture, just off the top of your head, is Seattle the worst? Do they have the worst offense of a decent team, like in the MLB? They have to, right? They have to be at the bottom.
I mean, based on recent form, I don't want to say Atlanta deserves a seat at the table, but in the last week or two,
Atlanta but we know. Yeah, I mean, not just
the
in
talent,
totality.
of course, is there. You mean the entire season? I get it.
Yeah, just in totality. Like
I think they have to be,
bro.
The main
so
talking
bad
point was Julio, and he barely has any power this season.
Yeah, he only has 1 home run.
That's what I'm saying. He was the main, piece, the main catalyst for the offense, and he has been kind of an afterthought. For this
they got to fix. They got to get some bats in there. If they had just a comparable offense, like average offense, they'd be a lot better. But they played in 10 straight unders.
I'm impressed they're this good, to be honest. If I told you Julio's had 1 home run, he's played almost every game, and we're in the middle of May, you'd probably say, so what? Seattle's like 7 back.
Yeah, but I mean, the pitching's so good though.
That's my point. Is that based on how bad the offense is, they should actually be happy with the record in general because they should be a lot worse.
Yeah, and I like you mentioned, I like Kirby. I'll take Kirby over Paddock any day. 4 of Kirby's 5 starts have went under. 1 earned run combined in his last 3 starts. Paddock, he's been getting lucky. I think he's going to be a regression candidate going forward. He's allowing a ton of hits, but just not a lot of runs. So I like that regression coming in for him. Seattle 206, hitting 206 in their last 10. Minnesota is hitting they've been hitting the cover off the ball. But again, I think you mentioned it in one of the previous breakdowns that is probably their numbers are probably inflated by the opponent that they were facing when they had that run versus, was it Pittsburgh and the Angels and
It
like
was
a
the
couple
White
other.
Sox in 2 separate series. Then you had the Angels in the middle, and then you had a couple
Yeah,
other games. So
yeah,
they
that's kind
got
of both.
gifted a bunch of wins.
Yeah, those kind of bolstered their stats. But I love the under. I love Seattle too. I'll take Kirby in that first 5 as well, man. I'll take the bullpen out of it.
Yeah, that works for me. I think for the under, though, I am going to leave the bullpens in the game because Minnesota's bullpen with Duran's actually been solid.
Yeah.
Like, let me actually just pull up the bullpen numbers quickly.
Yeah, I don't think Seattle probably couldn't hit me or you.
That's fair
On the mound. So yeah, I don't think it matters.
For bullpen ERA, though, Seattle's has the 3rd lowest bullpen ERA, and Minnesota has the 6th lowest bullpen ERA. So, yeah, they're kind of just shoving, especially, the bullpen. So I'm going to keep them involved. Give me the under in this game. I do want to ask you, though, out of all the pitchers, does Duran have, like, the best stuff of any closer in the league? Like, maybe ever? What kind of stuff it's wild what he can throw.
Yeah,
he's throwing 101-mile-an-hour splitters. Like, I don't know what the hell's happening.
Yeah, but like, what do you think about like Mason though? Like going forward, you think he's going to be one of those guys?
He's disgusting.
Yeah, once he gets to another team that's contending and he's
going to look really good in pinstripes in like 2-3 years.
Oh my god, I pray to God he does.
He's so good. He's so good.
He's good.
It's a shame that he's. You hear his quote, by the way, about Oakland?
No, I didn't. No, what did he say?
So I forgot who asked him, but somebody asked him because of Duran actually, because now people are praising him for maybe having a walkout. I mean, that's better than Diaz's trumpet.
Oh,
he has like lights and everything. So they
asked
Mason, are you going to consider doing anything with the lights or anything? And he said, probably not, because I'm not sure if they're going to turn back on. Which is a hell of a quote. A hell of a quote for Oakland. I don't know if he said that about himself or that was something that, like, the lights person said to him and he relayed it, but phenomenal quote, taking jabs at Oakland, which means he might get demoted later in the week, which is kind of the common theme here for Oakland. But, yeah, Duran's fantastic.
Yeah,
the bullpen's been really good. Both teams strike out all the time. Kirby never walks anybody anyway. So I wouldn't be shocked if he had like 8 strikeouts, no walks in this game, like 7 innings, 1 run, something like that. So give me a Kirby gem in this one. If you're a DFS player, maybe a Kirby gem in this matchup. But I agree with you on the under. Give me the 8. But I am going to go with Seattle to get the job done at -120. Moving on to the last game on the slate, you have the Giants taking on the Rockies. The Giants are once again laying 170. Good luck with that one. You have Hicks pitching, a 2-1 record, 1.89 ERA. You have Lambert pitching for the Rockies, 2-1 with a 5.66 ERA. The over-under in this game is set at 10 or 10.5, shopping around. Hicks has been really good. To be honest, I'm shocked he's been this good. He had Tommy John. He couldn't throw strikes on the Cardinals, and they randomly turned him into a starter, and he's been really good. How? I have no idea. Give the pitching coach a raise. Lambert's been just an average at best reliever for the Rockies for years, and now he's starting. So 170 is a massive price for the Giants, who are not very good. Do you want to lay it with the Giants? Do you want the run line? Are you concerned about Hicks in general because they're in cores? Does it matter if they're in cores, if the Rockies can hit anyway? A lot of questions to be asked for this game.
Yeah, I think the simple answer would be I don't want to lay the 170, so I'll just take the run line for a bigger bang for your buck. Although Lambert, he hasn't made it out of the 3rd inning in his last 2 starts.
He's mostly a reliever. I don't know if he actually can get out of the 3rd inning.
He had 20 runs in his last 4 starts. But you mentioned Hicks. He's been really good, and mixed with Colorado not being able to hit anything, they're returning home from back-to-back road series. This is San Francisco's 3rd straight road series. So, I mean, I can't lay 170 with him. I'd rather just take the 1.5. You're getting all 9 at bats. You're in Coors. Colorado's offense is bad. Lambert is bad. If San Francisco can't put up runs and win this game by margin, I mean, I don't know what to tell you Giants fans.
That's where I'm kind of going. I know for the Tuesday games, I gave out the Rockies, not as an actual bet, but as my main lean on the game, because 170 is a crazy price with a bad Giants team. In this case, I understand it. I think this case is warranted. I think it was Harrison against who is it, Dakota Hudson tonight? I forgot who was pitching for the Rockies. But
Yeah, I forgot who's pitching.
the point is Harrison was laying 170, and I'm like, that I can't do. But for the sake of Hicks, I understand that one. So I'll lean to the Giants in that one as well, and I don't really have a thought on the total in that one. That does it for all the games, all 16 of them. Lonte, I'm going to let you go first. What is your lock and dog for the show?
Yeah, so with the lock, I'm going to go to the Padres. I like Cease. I like the form he's in. Chicago is not hitting the ball well at home, not hitting the ball well at all in the last 10. Padres offense has been picking up really, really well. So I'm going to lock up the San Diego Chargers. The San Diego
throwback and a crossover.
The San Diego Padres. And I'm going to make sure that Cease gets a win here. So I'm going to bet him first 5 in full game as my lock. I guess I don't know if you want to bet one or the other, but I feel strongly about either one. So for the dog, I'm going to go with a game we disagreed on, man. I'm going to go with that first game with Oakland with Sears on the mound. Sears is in really good form. Texas doesn't hit lefties well. I think a mixture of that will get Oakland at least to be competitive down the stretch, and maybe they can just pull one out pretty late. I like how feisty Oakland's been lately despite opponents. Texas, they're hitting the ball pretty well. They've won 7 of 10, but still inconsistent on offense. So give me the Oakland A's as my dog with Sears on the mound.
All right. So for my lock on the show, I got to figure out which one I want to do. Yeah, so I see a massive line discrepancy, which is why I'm going to take it. It's a play we like anyway. First game on the card. You have Soriano taking on Perez. Give me the under. Give me the 8.5. Shopping around. FanDuel currently has 8.5 at -122. DraftKings has 7.5 at -118 to the over. So if you actually want a middle and it lands 8, you win both. But you're saving me a full run. You don't see that often. Give me the under 8.5. There's no way that line's going to close at 8.5. So give me that as the lock. Mentioned it before, but both offenses have been really bad. Soriano's and Perez have been fine. ERA is below 4, but Soriano has 1 win. Perez has 1 win. They get no run support at all. Both teams can't hit. Give me the under 8.5 in this one as my lock. For my dog, I have to think of what I want to actually do for this one. I could take, I think the Phillies -1/-1/2 in the first 5 probably will not be plus money. It probably will be -105, so that's not going to count. Gotta think if there's a dog I like or if I want to go for a potential run line play. You know what? I think I am going to go with it. I'm going to go Kirby -1.5 in this one against Paddock. I'm not a Paddock guy, and I think it's going to be a good price. Seattle's -120 on the money lines. You can find around +140, give or take, on the run line. Just quickly want to see if there's a better price I could find. Kirby on the run line, I see +146. I'll take that. I think we agree Paddock is probably worse than his numbers suggest because he gives up a lot of contact. Seattle doesn't generate a lot of contact, but they can pitch, and I'm hoping that Paddock might leave a couple pitches over the middle of the plate. Kirby, though, has been solid. His overall numbers look average, or I should say a little bit above average, a 3.76 ERA. But he got shelled in 1 start, so his numbers are a lot better than that. The last 4 starts that he's had, 6 innings, 1 run against the Astros, 7 innings, no runs with 12 strikeouts against the Diamondbacks, 5 innings, no runs in course, and 6 innings, 2 runs against the Reds. He's been fantastic, just simply put. So give me Kirby with a good outing and Seattle getting 9 at-bats on the road to win by at least 2 runs at +146. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. Somebody will be back tomorrow. I don't remember who. It's not going to be me. I believe me. I'm back on Sunday. But other than that, though, Lonte, you got anything you want to add before we officially end the show?
No, that's it, man. Enjoy the day spa. I know my guy Mal is going to be his skirt's going to be up and ready.
Yeah, something like that. But either way, until next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.